In the investing world, at some point, you have to decide to not be a consumer and be an investor, right? Instead of consuming the bag, go buy the stock of the company that makes the bag, right? That's how you start to build wealth.
I'll take a pound of nuts. That's a lot of nuts!
You have to make that shift. And I think what happens is people don't do it. They go to the event, they don't implement anything. That's why today I said, what's one thing? Just one thing that you're going to do, because most people don't even do that.
I keep having this nagging feeling that I've forgotten something.
And then if your back was up against the wall and you had to solve the biggest challenge in your business, what would you do if you had to do it in 90 days? Don't give yourself a year. And start to condense time so that you can achieve more in the same amount of time than you ever thought possible. And now here you are, writing a book. This latest book is The 9% Edge. It's really about 91% of all businesses fail in their first 10 years. Why? These are not just businesses, in my opinion. This is a family. This is a dream. These are people who, kids, they probably depend on that business. And 91% of them are all failing in their first 10 years. They leverage their money and their time to build. And so I was like, what makes the 9% succeed? Like, how was I so fortunate? What did I pay attention to? And what do all these other businesses pay attention to? Because even if you build it right, less than 15% of all businesses are acquired. And if you're a female founder, like I was, less than 5% of all of female founder businesses are ever acquired. So when I learned that at a really young age, most people would go, oh yeah, well, 95% of those businesses are never acquired. And instead I said, what about the 5%? What did they do?
What'd you do?
And it was the same thing when I was 15 years old, being from teenage parents. My mom had me when she was 16. I learned a stat that being in poverty, being sexually abused as a child, having teenage parents, that I was an 87% chance to be a statistic, to be a teenage parent, to also have that child enter into an abusive relationship or family. And I remember hearing that at 15 and I thought, what about the 13%? And so that same belief that I had when I was 15, I carried into the business world. And it's really interesting that all of those percentages have just been proof numbers around my life and why I wrote this book. Because instead of looking at, yes, there are so many people that can fail, if we just look at the right things, what did these people do that succeed? And they really pay attention to their numbers, they pay attention to their revenue, they understand profit.
I get it.
And they operate from facts as opposed to feelings, because our feelings will often lie. Facts typically don't, unless you have a corrupt controller. But for the most part, they're true. So we always talk about that in the book and really how you can create more freedom, because most people get into business to create freedom, but they actually create a job for themselves. And I saw that today with all the nods and the heads and the hands that went up. Most people end up stuck in a job, and that's not why they started the business to begin with.